Welcome back to another episode of the Beyond Infinite podcast. This is episode number 14. Welcome in, guys. Hello, it's your normal, amazing, extraordinary host right here. We got D Money, that's me, and we got ItsGuestGaming joining me as always. How we doing, guest?
Hanging in there. This recording should be interesting just because I've been struggling with like an allergy attack for the last 2 days. It took me out of commission entirely yesterday. And so hopefully I'm not like coughing 9 way through this entire broadcast. I'll try and keep muting for everybody so we don't, blow out our listeners' ears. But otherwise, I've been incredibly busy and feeling good about it. Not going to lie. You?
I feel the same way. Yeah, it's a busy time for games in general. I've been playing some other games, but still been getting my Marvel Snap in. Still been getting those rewards and those daily login rewards for sure. I just got my premium berry today, and I hated it, but I got it. So now I don't get it anymore in the future boxes. I'm happy about it. Yeah,
it's one less thing you got to worry about in that sense. Yeah, no, I know a lot of people have been getting on those PMVs, they're starting to pull avatars, and that's a whole nother topic because they're like, hey, I've got so many variants that I'm no longer eligible to get certain ones, so they just give me an avatar instead. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I didn't know you could get an avatar.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
We start seeing it around apparently around collection level 23,000. So you've got time, but it's starting to happen for a lot of people, and we're starting to see some rumblings in the community like this really isn't cool. So I don't know if that's something they're going to pay attention to or not, but it's happening. But my my PMV was a Pixel Valk, which made no sense, but it is what it is.
You got a Pixel out of your premium.
Oh wait, no, sorry, no. The Pixel Valk was on the track same day. No, because I opened them back to back. I'm like, wait a minute, no, that. Because I was like, I need Lord Pixel. Whatever. Yeah. It's Valkyrie. It's Pixel. But no, it wasn't that one. It was, I don't even remember now. Now I have to go double check my collection. But
that's how bad it was.
I mean, it probably was that bad. It was clearly memorable, but Pixel Valk, that stood out.
Yeah. Hey, we'll take it though. We'll take it. We have some very exciting topics for you guys today, though. A lot of new talk about that are coming in the future.
Yep.
And we have some new merchandise. I don't know. I opened my Twitter today. I saw some new mugs from this handsome mug that you see right here. If you're looking at the visual on YouTube, what is this going on here? Well, I'm seeing a lot of coffee mugs, tea mugs. What is this?
Yeah, so it's something I've been working on in the background for a while now, because obviously if you've come onto a live stream on Twitch, I'm always drinking coffee, and I wanted to do a fun Marvel Snap inspired line of merchandise themed around coffee and tea and, those beverages, because I'm always drinking them. I'm a morning streamer, so I'm always drinking them on stream. It's just kind of evolved into a motif, and I decided to make a whole bunch of merchandise based on a bunch of Marvel Snap puns. So, I mean, if you're on the video, you can see the previews of it, but I opened up ItsGuestGaming.shop today, only a few hours ago, just before we started recording here. And I am very happy to say that we've got a bunch of different ones. I've got Shang-Chi, for example, for the tea lovers out there. I know you are very much so more leaning towards the tea side of the world. Earl Jean Grey on the tea side, gotta play with the puns. And there's a Hella Good we threw in there. We threw in Darkhawk Roast, where, yes, the coffee mug has the 3X banner because it kind of needs it, to say the minimum, if you're going to do a Darkhawk thing. A giant mug that has Infonaut that says, I'm so happy. So I was and yes, Super Tech God has already bought that mug. It was sold within 5 minutes of the website going live. Cerebral,
I have to ask, which one is your favorite? These all look great, but which one do you love the most? And I'll tell you my favorite.
For me, it's the Howard the Duck one. It simply says, don't snap me until I've had my coffee. And it's a super tired Howard the Duck holding his phone with a cup of coffee, and he's just droopy eyed and just kind of, because it's a chibi duck, and all of them are chibi inspired, but I don't know why. It just makes me so happy to see a duck in a hat in a bathrobe. It's a silly little thing. I can't explain it, man, but I'm very happy about it. Which one did you like?
That one is a close second for me, but I would have to go with the Cerebro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love me some Cerebro, and he just looks so good as a mug,
I
like
know.
on the book. Yeah.
I know. I'm super 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 happy, and to the artist who I partnered with on this, Alazne, she's been absolutely fantastic. This is series 1. We released 10 mugs together, and just threw in a bunch of other things like a coffee coaster that says "Place Coffee" here with my little logo. So I'm very happy, and it's the beginning of more Marvel Snap themed inspired merchandise to come in the future, but it's all coffee and tea inspired right now because that's a theme of the stream. And I wanted to have a little fun with it. So that went live officially today on ItsGuestGaming.shop. And yeah, you can pick them up literally today. And if you're a Twitch subscriber, you also get a discount, which is quite cool. It automatically comes off at checkout, which is quite nice.
What do you get if you're what do you get if you're a Marvel Snap podcast co-host?
A lot of international shipping fees.
Ooh, okay.
But no,
Yeah,
they
these
do
look really
ship
nice,
internationally though. I think it's
Awesome.
like 50 something different countries. So I'm very, very happy with being able to get that out there. But Japan, I got to see what the shipping is, but I can get it to you at cost. So no worries.
Well,
Not a problem.
congrats on the launch there. These look
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah.
And
We
we have
needed
some
something
other
exciting to talk about, because the patch wasn't.
What do you mean? The patch was super exciting. Now we can spend more gold for cosmetics that are very similar to what we already had. And
Yeah, but they're brighter
yeah,
and they're shinier.
that's true. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, we had a new patch. I know you might not know because it didn't really change too much, but we have a new patch that talks about collectible. We got collectible borders, so you can pay additional gold. I believe it's what is it, 500 gold for one
It's
of
depending on
these.
the color. It's either 500 or 900.
Oh, yeah, you can pay 500 or 900 gold for these special borders on your cards, and it only goes for one card, specifically like one one hero. So yeah, I mean, there's pretty cool colors in there. Like there's neon colors and metallic colors, but yeah, people are kind of not happy about how much gold it was for one of these, and the fact that if you buy one, it's only for that one card, and you have to get it for every single card that you want. Uh, yeah, a lot of outrage there. What do you think about the prices, guest?
I know a lot of people are upset about the 500 versus 900. I think people just in general are more upset that there's 2 price tiers on them, because if all of these were 500 across the board, I don't think people would be complaining nearly as much. But the quote unquote prettier, pristine colors are more expensive, like neon yellow and neon white and gold. Like those are great. And then there's copper, which is cheaper, and then neon purple, which is actually really cool personally, but a lot of people don't like it. And neon red looks exactly like the ultra border. In my opinion, it's almost one for one. Like I'm putting it on the visual on the YouTube side that the neon border looks way too similar to the ultra border. In my opinion, it's just less graphical. It's just bright. It's super bright in your face, and only if you're, especially if you're playing on mobile, only if you're using at least medium resolution. So I think a lot of people are mostly upset at the fact that the 900 is even an option. Because I don't think people would be complaining if all of them were 500 across the board and just choose your favorite color. But I think the combination of 2 price tiers plus no balance changes brought a whole bunch of chaos to the community simultaneously. And when they announced it, I was live on Twitch, and I may or may not have gone on about a 35-minute rant to calm myself / the community down off of the fact that there's a different standard of expectation, and we should be thankful that the devs actually have a line of communication to creators like us in the creator program, because the only reason the community even knew ahead of time in any possible way, shape, or form that we were getting a no balance patch was because the creators, we all exploded into the creator chat going, this is insane. If you announce this, this is going to be incredibly poorly received. And without going into that whole rant again, the only thing I want to summarize it to was when I read the no balance changes, and one of the responses that we had gotten from one of the developers was, this will get the community accustomed to this being a potential new thing that does happen in Marvel Snap. And my counterpoint to it was, well, when you did it with series drops, you gave us a full announcement, a full spiel. We had paragraphs and QAs talking about why that was changing with series drops to go from regular to irregular, because we had been so, Pavlov conditioned to constantly having, okay, there's a patch and an OTA, cards are getting changed, cards are getting changed, cards are getting changed. Well, yeah, what do you expect us to think after 18 months of card changes? We're supposed to get a card change during a patch, right? You can't just not do it and not talk about it. So they took all that feedback and they gave that pre-announcement the night before. And thank goodness, because they're listening to us, even though I do personally think that the no balance change is a good thing for this week.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel Snap is pretty unique in the sense that we get a lot of balance changes. We get like a change. We get changes like every single week, which is pretty unheard of in games in general, and especially card games. So, I mean, I can tell you one of two things. I mean, I can tell you that the game is just not well balanced, or I can tell you that they just want to always like shake up the meta and shake things up, which is usually the case, I think. Overall, the game is pretty well balanced, but there's usually some outliers, and they do address them like relatively quickly. And yeah, we get some kind of switch up every week, whether it's balance changes, whether it's like a new event that's going to impact the game or something like that. So I'm not like so like annoyed that like, oh, like we're not going to get changes every single week. Oh my god. Like I'm okay with a patch that like does something else for the game, that adds some kind of new thing to the game, or just like addresses like a lot of bugs that need to be fixed or something like that. I think it's totally fine. But yeah, the prices on these collectible borders, it's a little much. Yeah, going to 900 gold for one of these that you can only use for the one card. That's a little much. And like I'm not really surprised, because at the end of the day, it's a mobile game. I say it all the time on the podcast. Like these are like typical mobile game transactions that you don't have to buy. You can buy them if you want to, but I do still think that, like I've also said in the past a lot on the podcast, like I think it's a little expensive, but I'm not surprised.
Well, I think one of the things that they did a very poor job of articulating with the announcement of this in the lack of developer notes was the fact that this is being released prior to a further version of this, where now that this is in existence, it is, let's be honest, it's organically creating that fear of missing out for the community. They're like, wait, there's a new shiny thing, I want it. Well, the only way I can get it is gold. And I get that. That's fine. It's a business, and that's very much so what, as you said, many mobile games and monetization models are going to follow. However, what they neglected to announce there, but then later answered with us and then publicly announced in the team answers, was the fact that this will lead to a further what's called a consumable that you'll be able to utilize via obtaining it through other means. So what that means is, whether it be the season pass, specialty events, daily login rewards, tracks, you're going to be able to get a consumable that you can use. So imagine it like a raffle ticket, and you earn your raffle ticket to use for a red neon border. You'll then be able to go to the card of your choice that you want to give that red neon border to specifically, and then that card will get the red neon border for what is, as you see here, the equivalent of 500 gold. So you'll be able to get these consumables, which will be added into the next patch. So they launched this one first to create FOMO, essentially, and then it will also later on further implement into other means of the game, where you'll be able to earn these specific neons and metallic borders to put onto your collection, whether you are free to play or you are, pay to accelerate. You'll be able to get them. Right now, it's just a FOMO. If you want it, it's going to cost you gold, and that's it. No matter how you got the gold is up to you, but it's going to cost you gold to get it. And that's pretty in line with what they've always done.
That does kind of sound like the custom card aspect, like when they originally released custom card, like there weren't all these functionalities that we really wanted. You couldn't really do too much with it, but it was just like the first step into it, and then they added more, and they actually added more right now with this patch as well,
right?
Where you can do the thing that we all wanted, which was you can now equip whatever split you have for one character. If I have a base Silver Surfer that has a gold Kirby Crackle on it, I can put that same gold Kirby Crackle onto another Silver Surfer, another variant of that same card.
Yeah, the duo together, the background plus the effect, correct?
Yes, you still can't mix and match that because they still want to, like, if you have a gold split and then you have another split, like a regular foil split that has like a Kirby Crackle on it, you can't assign that Kirby Crackle to the gold.
You can't dissect
the gold. Yeah, they still do want to make it so like you have to achieve that like God split, quote unquote.
Makes sense.
And I'm okay with that. Yeah, but I do think that this is big that you can now equip it to a different variant. So if you have like a really cool split on a variant and then you want to get a new variant, or you just end up getting a new variant for that card that you like better, or you want to try that split on it, you can now do that. And that's pretty sick. And also there is, they do have a duplicate protection with splitting cards. You're guaranteed to not get a duplicate combination per character.
Right.
So if you split another variant, if I have a foil finish with a white swirly thing around it, and then I split another variant of that card, I can't get that same exact thing, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, I like these changes.
Yeah, that one in particular, I think is one of the bigger wins, because there are some people that have just like a billion different splits on a card, and it's like, look, this is my favorite Agatha, for example, because Agatha always gets all the boosters, so she's one of the fastest cards you can split regularly. And there are some hardcore Agatha players out there, and I know someone, for example, who has literally unlocked every single combination on one particular Agatha split. It's a lot. And now they can use all of those combinations on all of their variants, rather than move to the next, variant and start all of those splits processes again. So that's kind of cool that you're going to be able to toss that around, because like I've got Shang-Chi variants coming out the wazoo. I've got null variants coming out the wazoo, because Second Dinner really makes it a very adamant point that we all must have a null variant. And now all those splits and effects I can implement to a variety of different cards of that card. So I think that's quite cool. And from a cosmetic standpoint, they really are leaning heavily on that, like customize your own collection. And this is just another step in that direction. Even though we didn't get balance added to the game in that aspect, next week we're going to get 2 new cards, and that's going to rebalance the entire game all by itself, because we'll finally move past needing to do the Baron Zemo missions for the last 2 weeks, and all of the Mill chaos and all of the Loki chaos. Like, it's going to help rescind it down, because we're going to have 2 completely very different cards. Because I don't know if you've noticed, today, the last day or 2, maybe. There seems to be a lot of Loki around. Have you noticed this trend?
I have seen it. I haven't played Snap in the last couple of days because of that, actually. Not gonna lie.
That's fair. I mean, Valentina definitely really kind of messed things up in that aspect, but I'm not surprised to see you say, wait a minute, Loki's everywhere? I'm gonna take a break.
Yeah, I have been an advocate of hating Loki for a while.
Yeah,
I think a lot of players are still scarred from it, like myself, from when it was at its peak.
Yeah,
when it had first released, and it is one of those cards that is a feels bad card to play against because you lose to your own cards.
it's true.
Nobody likes it. It's like leader. But like your opponent gets to choose actually where they want to place all these cards. And they can even play more cards than what you played. Like the card has been ridiculous for a while, especially when you have Quinjet out. So yeah, Valentina, just another great card to add to that deck, and I think that's like the deck that it excels in the most.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not surprised to see it really getting a lot more popularity right now because people are always going to play what's the best. I mean, they want to win. At the end of the day, winning is fun, and if you do it in a toxic manner, it's not toxic to you because it's only like if your opponent does it to you. Like that's when it feels bad. If you're doing it to your opponent, like who cares? You know, who cares
Yeah.
what they think? But yeah, I think it's it's a scary card to be released. I don't know. What do you think about the power level of Valentina right now in that deck?
So in the Loki shell in particular, it feels pretty organic because you're trying to get Quinjet down on one more often than not. If not Quinjet, then Kitty Pride. If not Kitty Pride, then Snow Guard, just to have the cards in your hand. Those are your 3 1-drop options that you really need. You could argue Maria Hill, but it's like, sitting on the bench. But if you get that Quinjet down and then you play Valentina on 2, playing a 6-drop, whether it's reduced down 3 power or not, playing a potential 6-drop on turn 3 does feel incredibly good. And it just perfectly fits into the arc of what you're already organically doing. So, I built originally 3 different Loki shells. I built a Loki mill, a Loki swap, which is really heavily focusing on, get 7 cards in your hand and flip them with Loki, and then a Loki bounce. And after testing all 3 of them, starting to take little elements here and there, like, okay, we're going to keep the Baron Zemo and the Gladiator for power, but then we're also going to throw in the Kitty Pride Angela combo as another resource of power. But then now the Valentina Quinjet combo works great here because now we're getting Cable added to the mix, who's already a great card. So it was a constant battle of trying to flex different ideas of what feels good with Valentina, and she fits incredibly organically with Loki in a great evil mix of power stacking cards like Angela, for example. I absolutely love her for the Loki shell. She fits perfectly. I was running a deck today. I did like 50 games with it, ran like 68% win rate, like super. And that was after finding, okay, this works great. This works great. This works great. And right now Mill is still incredibly strong. So go ahead and run your Baron Zemo. And I like her in that mix with Mockingbird and friends, we'll call it. But outside of that, like I tried running her. I had a Luke Cage deck that was a Shuri deck essentially, but no Sauron, sub Luke Cage. And the random chance with that benefit of Luke Cage, that combination didn't come up often enough where I felt like it was good enough. And I just never found a shell that really made me say, oh, this is like competitive. I found fun decks that broke 50-50, but nothing that was like, hey, this is great. And it's not a Loki deck, but she's, in my opinion, she's basically just a really good Loki card. B tier overall.
Yeah, I feel like the only deck that would really like her in it that doesn't play Loki is a Loki deck that doesn't have Loki in it.
Yeah, like a
if
Dino
you just,
Moon Girl deck.
yeah,
OG
pretty much
version.
like just collector and like generation kind of cards. Like it's
Mhm.
probably fine, but Loki definitely takes to that other level and gives you the option to just like there are matchups where, to be fair, like there are matchups that Loki doesn't really impact the game that much, and you don't really want your opponent's deck, but most of the time it's gonna be a beneficial play for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think hopefully I'm actually like kind of happy that Valentina came out because maybe that will result in Loki getting changed again. Like maybe that's what had to happen for Loki to get changed. Do you think it's too strong, or do you
It's tough because
maybe we want to wait until the new cards come out to see?
I don't think the new set of cards are like what's coming out in May is going to be the the game changer necessarily for Loki. I think the thing with Loki that just constantly always has that feels bad feel is the fact that if you get that combination of Quinjet Loki down together, I mean, it's double reduction off of an entire hand flip. And that's tough to compete against. But you're also needing to remember that when you don't do your Loki flip, the deck is just meh, and you're just trying to really stack one lane and maybe win the second lane. So because it has that indecisiveness when you don't do the Loki flip, I think that it's okay right now. It's not broken, but it's still, it's okay. It's a competitive option, especially in tournaments, because you have that further control playing into what we'll call controlled RNG, as weird as that sounds. Loki does great into that. But on ladder competitively, up to a certain point, it's competitive. And you've seen it in the top of ladder. You see different versions of it all the time. All the creators, including ourselves, are obviously talking about it. But I don't think Loki's in a nerf-worthy place at the current moment. But that could be subject to change based on cards next month.
That's a hot take. We'll have to see what happens. I can totally see Loki just. I've been wanting them to just remove the -1 from his ability. Like, don't give them -1 cost. Like, Quinjet will already do that if you have it out. Like, -2 is when it gets extremely overpowered. Like you were saying, like when the Quinjet is out and you play Loki, it's too much, I think. But anyway, we have a lot of other stuff to talk about here. We have some new cards that are dropping this next week. As you may know, it is the new season pass coming up. So whenever it's the first week of the season, we get the season pass card, and we also get another card dropping with it as well. So the season pass card this next month is going to be Blink. And Blink is a 5/6 on reveal. Swap the last card you play with a higher cost card from your deck. Yeah, so kind of like a better Lockjaw-ish. I mean, it costs more as a 5/6. It's a little expensive, but at first glance, I think this card is very strong, and it's very easy to set up. Like, you just have to play a card. Like, you could just play like a 3 and a 1 on 4. That's probably the ideal scenario. And then play that 1 last. And if it doesn't die to Killmonger, then you get to swap it out. Something like that. Seems pretty good to me. Not horrible stats. But depending on the deck, it's going to be something that you have to build your deck around a little bit. But I think it's got potential. Yeah.
I think you are tremendously underestimating this card. Tremendously. Think about your favorite deck you've just been talking about, Loki, right? How many 4 costs do you typically run in a Loki deck? Not many, right? How many cards with a higher cost than Loki do you typically run in a Loki deck? 1, maybe Mockingbird, maybe Devil Dino. So imagine running Blink in that deck, and you don't get your Loki draw. But on turn 4, you dropped, your Kitty Pryde and Baron Zemo. And you go to turn 5 and you still didn't draw Loki, but you did draw Blink. So you play Blink, and it turns that Baron Zemo into a Loki on the board because it's a higher cost card than 3 cost. And there are very limited targets in the deck. The deck building around Blink in particular is going to create some really, really competitive decks, in my opinion. I think that this will be a card that takes a little bit of time to truly decipher. But think about that Loki scenario, right? Think about Galactus. Imagine building a Galactus deck where your only big tall cards are Nimrod and Blink and Galactus. So now you're building a whole line that if you play Shuri on 4, you can play, you can play Blink on 5 and then get the Galactus down instead somewhere else as a juke. Because that Shuri was a 4/1, but it actually switched with the Galactus instead. So now it's a 6/5 that was a 4/1 all by itself, and they were expecting a big card. So maybe they put a Shang-Chi there, but your 6/5 Galactus went over the top because Shuri transformed into a new one with a swap. And I like these types of cheeky plays with the deck building potential looking at the current meta, because the current meta very heavily says throw in a lot of littles and then 3 or 4 cards that are typically 4 cost or higher. We're seeing a lot of decks like this. This isn't the ramp era and the super hella era. It's a lot of combo decks that can actually very heavily benefit from this escape clause in Blink. So if you have her in your hand early on, you play that turn 4 very particularly. Blink then allows you to swap that card out, which is what's going to lead to the hottest take of this podcast, in my opinion. You will see a small, let me re-emphasize that big word there, small rise because of Blink. You're going to see defensive rises in the first week of Kang. Here's why. All of the RNG that plays out is exactly replicated via Blink. So if you play that Blink on 5 and whatever that card transformed into, if you Kang as a counter, it will guarantee transform into the same card the following turn. So you know exactly what the transformation is going to do.
That is a hot take.
It is a hot take, but it is a really strong
correct.
counter against the season pass.
Yeah, I think that the more you think about it, this card does. I mean, you're gonna need deck tracker. You're gonna have to have your deck tracker up and see what you're gonna pull at which point, because you do have to set this card up.
Yes.
Going into that 5th turn or 6th turn, like you can set it up so that if you need to get over like a threshold of cost, like if you have multiple 2 costs in your deck, but you don't have like anything from 2 to 6 or something like that, then like all you have to do is transform a 2 and then you'll get the 6.
Right.
So yeah, it does require some setup and some planning, which is cool. We like that. For like a big payoff, we like that you have to actually like think about how you want to play out these turns here a little bit. But yeah, I can see this card being very strong, having some really overpowered scenarios. But yeah, once again, it's like a deck building challenge and something that you're gonna have to like wrap your mind around when you're playing these games, which is kind of exciting. And yeah, seems like maybe not like, I don't think it's like a completely busted card like comparatively to other season pass cards that we've seen, but it does seem like it has some very good use cases. Yeah.
Storm, Blink, Galactus.
This guy and his Galactus, man. I don't know.
Think about it. You play a Storm on down, how often do you not get contested?
Depends on the setup, but
yeah,
yes, not
exactly. It can be manipulated like that. Absolutely. So it's that kind of stuff. Even cards, for example, swap the last card you played with a higher cost card, right? You can reopen potentially a Professor X lane.
If you're swapping out Professor X,
Limbo on 3, Professor X on 5, Blink on 6. Swaps Professor X for a 6 cost card. There's a lot of cool things that can be done with this card. Believe me when I say, without me having to say it, I have had to already start doing a lot of theory crafting for this card. And I will say confidently, people are going to underestimate it right off the bat. And then the theory crafting will realize, wait a minute, I can do this. I can cheat this out. And as you said, deck trackers, of course, they are our best friends for this card. So you know exactly what's left in your deck. And you know, okay, I'm playing a 2 cost, which means I have a 50-50 shot to hit this or this because they're both higher versus the Wasp that's down there, which was one of the biggest downsides to Lockjaw, is you could toss on in there, and how often did you get a rock get pulled out? Blink won't turn that card into a rock. It will turn it into something higher than whatever you played previously. So that acceleration up is pretty powerful. And I would not be surprised if this card absolutely like snowballs for 2 solid weeks of these decks keep getting better and better and better and better. Now, I could eat my words potentially in 2 weeks' time, but based on like the way my brain's already started thinking about swaps that she can perform in current meta decks, even Hela is going to benefit from this. Like, it's wild to me how good this is going to end up being.
We will see. We have another card though that's getting released that also looks very good. At the same time, we're gonna get Nocturne, which is a 3/5. You can move this once. When this moves, replace its location with a random one. So it's like a Scarlet Witch on a stick.
With Nightcrawler. Yeah,
card's-
that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
It's their child.
I don't know this card's nice. Wait, really?
I believe, if I remember the lore correctly, and someone's going to correct me,
Okay.
we're going to get the well actuallys down in the YouTube comments, and that's fine. But she is the child of someone, and I'm pretty sure it's Scarlet Witch and Nightcrawler.
That would make sense. She does kind of look like Nightcrawler, and she's got the Scarlet Witch hands. She's doing the location swap thing, the glowy thing.
That's why she's a 3/5, because it's a 1/2 plus a 2/3. Get it? 3/5.
Oh, wow. Nice. Okay.
There's math.
Yeah, this card. I mean, that's good math.
I do what I
yeah,
can.
this card seems really good. I mean, it does multiple things, and it's not like it's not a one cost like Nightcrawler that can get killmongered. Yeah, I think this card is flexibility is just a really strong thing in card games, and especially in Marvel Snap. So being able to get two things for one card when you have very limited card slots in your deck, I really like this card a lot. Yeah.
I'm also still waiting on confirmation just to truly understand this card, because there's one thing the nomenclature to me, I could read it both ways when it says when this moves, replace its location with a random new one. Is that the location it moved from or the location that it moved to? And I'm still waiting on that confirmation, but we'll find out whenever they do the season pass announcement relatively soon, hopefully, from the recording of this podcast. And either way, it should probably be where she was played. I think that this is a huge, for lack of a better term, it's a mind fuck. It just completely screws with people, because you could not move it and leave the location as is, but you could move it at any given point. Like, to me, that's really, really cool.
That is true, but yeah, it does read in a weird way. It says when this moves, replace its location with a random new one. So it really could go either way with which location it's changing exactly. Is it changing the one that it was leaving or the one that it's going to? And that does make a big difference, actually, because usually you'd like, it's kind of scary to actually play a card, like playing Scarlet Witch on a location. Like, it could just change to like Bar with no name, and then you actually like mess up yourself now that you change this location. So, but at the same time, changing, if you move out of a location and then you change that location that you just moved out of, and it was something like beneficial for your opponent, like Sanctum Sanctorum, then it can mess you up. So I think either way, it's going to have its benefits. It's going to be some luck. There's going to be some luck involved for sure whenever you change a location. But I think that does make a difference on the power level, but also it could really go either way. But yeah, it does kind of change the dynamic of when you want to move it and kind of how your opponent's going to play around this, even though it's like really hard to play around. But I do like the mind games that could arise, like you were saying, like if you just don't move it, and like your opponent's like on edge the whole game, thinking like, I don't know, like this location's gonna change. Like I don't know if I want to really play here or whatever. Like I think this is a really interesting card for many different reasons, and it's once again not a card that seems like it's going to be like completely broken, but it just seems like a good card and something that's going to see a lot of play, and it's like a unique kind of effect since it has two things in one.
I'm going to use the kiln as the perfect example as to knowing whatever the final version of this card is, because if it's where you move it from, then you play Nocturne into the kiln, and then you're never, do you move it out at any point to reopen it? Okay, so if you're losing it after turn 4, all right, then go ahead, move out Nocturne, and you'll reopen it for turn 6. because you change the location to something else, versus you can move into it. Let's say you then have to play Nocturne out of the kiln and eventually move her into it to then change the location and reopen it. So that kind of play lining does end up having a very interesting effect on the card. But it's also worth noting that she's a 3/5, at least in the current data mines. Like, if she releases at 3/5, I mean, we all know 3/5 is the new 3/4. And these are great stats. No matter what, these are great stats. Baron Zemo, obviously, Black Swan, we're seeing more and more 3/5s. They buffed up Sabretooth to 3/5. Like, this is the new stat line. And that's a really good stat line. So much so that she's a location changing card at 5 cost. I said it a couple of weeks ago. She might be the missing piece that actually makes Cerebro 5 start to become competitive now. Because the hardest thing with Cerebro 5 versus 2 and 3 is there's no location card that fits with the buff. So now there is. Yep. So maybe that brings it up over the top and we start seeing Dr. Doom and Nocturne and all of these crazy plays start to go way over the top because of the location change that she can bring to the game. I think she's going to be a very good investment. She's going to be a safe investment. She's good stats. She's good control. She's mind games like Vision presents all the time. Like, Vision's one of the top cards in the game to many people because of the mind games that it presents. Nocturne's just a larger version of a mind game that lingers for almost way too long. And I'm kind of about that life.
I'm going to say the thing that's on everybody's mind. Okay. Silver Surfer card. Really good Silver Surfer card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even this into Magic and then put it in the limbo lane. The mind games that presents alone for Silver Surfer is nuts. Do I move out or do I need the extra turn? Do I go to win it now or do I not? Like, that's huge. It's one of the most organic things that people will think about with Nocturne is Silver Surfer because she's 3 cost. Yeah. And she'll be probably pretty good in it.
Really good in it. Yeah. So we have that new card coming out. We have those 2 cards coming out in the same week. Very powerful cards.
Yeah.
And then we have projected. What do you want to talk about here? Like the other cards coming out, or
I want to do something that we normally don't do. Right? It's the beginning of a new month, and we're always going to talk about the new cards every single week. So we've got the season pass. We're briefly talking about Nocturne, but I just want to highlight really quickly Sage, Namora, and Sasquatch, who are all data mined to also come out during the season. And again, this is at the time of us recording on a Thursday night. This is all subject to change, yada, 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 numbers, etc. So just the effects and what the powerfulness of the cards and what do you think? I just want to know from you, for example, what do you think is going to end up being, your ranking of these cards, your top tier, save your tokens for, save your spotlights for, whatever it is, out of the cards that are coming out for specifically non-season passes for the collection track, right? Because we just talked about Nocturne. Then there's also Sage, who's at the moment, keyword, at the moment, a 3/0, which always is scary, but it specifically is an on reveal that gives +2 for each different power among all other cards here. And it's such a unique thing to me because if it releases as that, in my opinion, this could be stupid broken. This could be like in a full top end scenario, your opponent has 4 cards, you have 3 cards, and all of them have different powers. That could make this potentially a 3/14. Are you freaking kidding? Like, this is the ceiling on this is the highest of any 3-cost card we have yet. But building with it, I have no idea if it's going to be worthwhile. So if it releases as that, that's just stupid, in my opinion. Absolutely stupid. And people will play into that because she'll be an easy 3/8 plus higher, depending on your opponent. Namora is also potentially coming out as a 5/5, who's also an on-reveal card. So again, another on-reveal card. But Namora gives 5 power to each of your cards alone at another location. And I'm not sure, I haven't like, again, same thing with this one. I haven't sat down and really started like super theory crafting with it, where you leave a card alone all by itself, because obviously she's a water card. This is supposed to feed into Orca and Namor and, you know, your single standalone cards and Atuma, etc. Give them the buff, and then, you know, later on save them with other, you know, mechanics, I guess. It's a cool idea, but I don't know if it's going to give us necessarily the wow, that's a lane winner aspect that people are looking for. And lastly is Sasquatch. Sasquatch is currently a 6/10. So yes, another big card, Shang-Chiable, but it's a reduction card similar to She-Hulk. Sasquatch is a 6/10 that costs 1 less for each card you played last turn. So this is like a hit monkey galore combo style card, in my opinion. Or you play down Mysterio, that makes this a 3/10 the following turn. So there's some cool things that I guess can happen there. And it's a big card. It's a 10 power card that you can get down for cheaper. You can always get it down on turn 5 as long as you play down a card, any card, on turn 4. So it's a 5/10 safely. So looking at safe stats with Sasquatch, unknown surprise on reveal from Namora, the crazy high cost power ratio ceiling of Sage, and the move location change of Nocturne, who stands out to you as immediately worth 6,000 tokens, and who stands out to you as I'm passing?
I think a lot of these cards are good, but I'm gonna give you my ranking right now, and I'm gonna start with the bottom. All right, what I think is the worst one, and this might surprise you, Sage.
Okay.
I know you said that it has a high power ceiling, and I get it.
Yep.
But I do think it's going to be a little hard to set up. And I just think the other cards are better, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. Like even though you have a convincing argument there, it might not be so difficult. It's definitely something we have to think about more. Like you said, like all these cards we have to think about more with how we want to build these decks. But I think Sage is going to be at the bottom for me. And then I am going to go with Blink after that.
You're putting Blink in this ranking? Okay.
Second to last, yeah.
Okay.
And then I would go to ooh, it's close. Probably man, there's so many good cards here. Sasquatch, yeah. I think after that, then Nocturne. I think Nocturne's gonna be played in like everything, honestly. And then I think Namora. I think Namora is actually, not gonna lie, really good. The more that I think about it, at first when I looked at it, I thought it was trash. But then I thought about then I realized that like it's on reveal. So like you only have to have those cards over there for now, like by themselves, and then you could power them up after, like you could put other cards with them afterwards. So if you just like have maybe like 2 cards mid, and then you have 1 card on the left, 1 card on the right, and then you play her mid, like you're gonna buff those 2 cards on the right. You're still gonna have a lot of power mid, and then like I think this card works really well, especially with Miss Marvel, because like you set up like a card on the left and the right, you buff them up, or you buff up like Miss Marvel mid or something like that, and then I think it's just so much power between her and Miss Marvel together. It's like over 25 power. Like I don't know. It's this card is basically like a 5/15 and reminiscent of Miss Marvel vibes. I think it's really good. Hot take.
Yeah, definitely a hot take, because outside of very, very niche decks, including Cerebro 5, which Namora could find a home in. Oh, let's be honest here. She's a 5/5 that gives +5, so put Cerebro in a lane all by itself on turn 3. There you go, +5 to him. You know,
that's crazy.
You know, we're getting to the Cerebro 5 world, people. You don't have to like it, but it's a long shot. Either way, though, I think she's incredibly conditional, and because of that, she's actually my least favorite card of the month. So we're in completely different aspects. Completely, I can't wait to see who's right and who's wrong, because this is recorded. So she's my least favorite card this month. Next to her, I'm probably then like, I don't want to put Sage, but I will, just because of the unknown ceiling same way, where building into that 3 cost, she's a card you're looking to typically play later. Like, she's going to be a great surfer card, right? She's a 3/0, and you're stacking different powers. All right, so you could put in all by itself Sebastian Shaw and her, and then whatever other costs are happening on the other side, and boom, she's going to be like a 3/10 without even trying. And then also be added onto. And she can go out under Ravona. Like, there's a lot that can happen from her because she's a 3/0. She'll get reduced down via that too. But I think we're going to have to really, really test her to figure out where that good shell is. So until then, I'm keeping her second to bottom. Next to that, I'm probably going to go with Blink. I think Blink is just a good season pass card. I think there's going to be Blink decks. Just like how we see Pixie decks, you're going to see Blink decks. Just like you saw Lockjaw decks, right? It's about very specific organization and changes. The thing is, she's more controlled than a lot of these other random deck mechanic style cards, which is why I think she costs 5 to play, at least in the current version that we see in the data mines. So I think she's going to be a very good card for those big surprise swings on turn 5, considering it helps to compensate for some of the cards that you played previously on turn 4. And I really like that because turn 5 is a great setup turn. So especially if you've got a deck tracker in any way, shape, or form, this is going to be a great card. Next to that is going to be Nocturne. I'm going to put her as my second best card this month. I think she's an it's a location changer. It's good stats. It can move. It's a Swiss Army knife style card. It does everything, but most importantly, it messes with your opponent. It gives that insecure, mind-altering, what am I gonna do, what am I not gonna do feeling. And I love that about Nocturne because it gives you agency to create randomness as you need it, not as it happens because you have no other choice. So I like that control of RNG that Nocturne presents. And Sasquatch is going to be the best card of the month, hands down. Because if there's anything we've learned from Mockingbird, from She-Hulk, from Cull Obsidian, from Red Hulk, good stats are good stats. And they always feel good. And you're always playing cards, which means Sasquatch is always a 5/10, which is above rate. Yet alone, if you play 2 cards on turn 2, on turn 3, my apologies, on turn 3, you could play a 4/10. And you very often play 2 cards on turn 3. It's always good stats. It's always good stats. Yet alone, when it could be potentially free on those early Hit Monkey decks, that could be a free card on turn 6 with Absorbing Man. You do that double combination in there, and that becomes really, really, really good. Like, there's so much that can happen, and it's always good stats. Therefore, it's going to be the best card of the month. Sasquatch, hands down. No hesitation on that for me.
I mean, I don't think our lists are that different. I think it's just we see it differently on Sasquatch and Namora, like specifically. Yeah. There's one specific card that's very different. We both think
glaring
that all
difference.
the other cards are going to be sure. But I don't know. I think you're overvaluing the Sasquatch. I think it is a strong card, but I mean these scenarios that you listed, like I don't even think a 5/10 is good. Like 4/10 is like average now. Like Cull Obsidian and Crossbones are 4/10s. Like why do I even care about this guy that much? Like I think this guy is only good like if you get him done to like 3 or less, pretty much. Like I think yes, in like specific decks like Bounce, he could be very nice, but there's not really a lot of spammy decks. I think they run like so many that are gonna play so many low cost cards towards the end. Like there's a few, but I think the card's good. I don't know. It's just not on Namora level, bro. Sorry.
I can't wrap my head around Namora the way you are. There will be decks, and Namora I think is more of a build around card than Blink, in my opinion. I think you have to try harder because you have to leave one card in a lane all the way through turn 6. And that's scary to do no matter who you are, 10 power or not. That's scary to do. And I just can't see that regularly becoming like, hey, this is a good combo. Minus.
Well, turn 5, not turn 6.
Well, no, you have one card in that lane all the way through turn 6 because you're playing Nomura on 5, which means on turn 6 there's still one card there.
On turn 6.
Yeah, you play cards on turn 6. Yeah, but I'm saying all the way into turn 6. That's five turns of not putting cards into one lane is my point. So you can play into it on the final turn, sure, of course. But it's always scary because it's throwing priority for it. And like I said, very specific decks are going to want to take advantage of that specifically. And I just don't, I can't see it yet. You clearly see the light, just like how you weren't seeing the light of Blink and I see the light of Blink. You know, I think people are very heavily underestimating a lot of the cards of this season. And granted, the statistics that we know of right now from the data mines are not confirmed. But if they release as currently is, I think the entire community is very heavily underestimating how good these cards will be, no matter what game mode you play or prefer.
Especially Namora. Yes. But yeah, I think you just don't like playing from behind. I think you're just, why are you so scared of playing from behind, Guest? Like, I don't know. Me as a card game player, I'm
Purple, what's his name?
Oh, Fart Cloud. Oh, you're scared of the
that
Fart
guy.
Cloud.
Yeah, we're scarred, man. Of course.
I'm typically like a control player when I play card games, so like I'm used to like playing from behind. I like acting like I'm behind and then come back with a bang. And that's exactly what Namora does. That's what Miss Marvel does as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think these cards will be pretty good. But like you said, yeah, all these cards seem really nice. I'm not gonna lie, and yeah, I think I do agree with you. I've seen some takes on Twitter like, oh, these cards are poop this month. Like, I'm not really gonna buy anything, whatever. I think maybe people should reevaluate or just theory craft a little bit. Just like think about it a little bit. Make some decks. Just I think they have a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But I would say I would honestly say like the safest buy would be Nocturne, because Nocturne is going to be one of those cards that you could play in like every single deck. So as far as like a flexibility standpoint, like that would be the card that I would buy if I was going to buy one. But depending on what you like, I mean, there should be like something like, I don't think these cards are like necessarily like Sasquatch is for like a certain archetype. But like these other cards, I think also do have some flexibility and could be interesting. So yeah, just build some decks. Think about it. Watch ItsGuestGaming's videos when he theory crafts all these crazy combinations of cards, and make your own decision there. This is not financial advice, but yeah.
Yeah, because we don't get a cut when you use your resources, people. Okay, it doesn't work. That's true. Like that. But speaking of Twitter, did you see them post the whole like data mine of alliances and leagues?
I did. Yes, there has been a little bit of leaks here for the new leagues or guilds, clans kind of thing that's coming to Marvel Snap.
Well, they're two different things. That's important.
What? Wait, what?
Leagues and alliances / clans, because leagues is a temporary event.
Oh yeah.
And alliances and or clans, whatever they're gonna call it, that's the whole like community group thing. They're very different things.
You showed me a post that has both of them in it, so now I'm getting confused here.
So
you can't show me multiple things at once. I can't multitask. You could ask my girlfriend.
Blame Browda, and I really don't want to ask her that. But yeah, on Marvel Snap Bugle, which is run by Browder, he was able to obtain via the members of the community some data mined imagery of alliance potential like creation pages, as well as a couple of the pages that could potentially pop up for leagues, which are going to be tested in the UK next week. So it's interesting where, okay, we saw the League One kind of in the season pass announcement video with Ben Brode last season, but it had like rankings and stuff and pretend people filling in there. But we now see the pop-up, definitely confirming that you'll earn 100 points for a win and then gain or lose 25 points per cube, won or lost during the duration of the league, which is an interesting thing where it's a little bit more, sweaty, a little bit more try hard, and it's about efficiency more than anything else in climbing. So I think leagues we're going to see more and more, because obviously there are creators across the pond that will have access to this, and we'll probably get all that information from them and see some live gameplay of, the mechanics as they happen. And then we'll talk about it and we'll give feedback on our own end. But I want to talk about alliances in particular, because there's a lot of parameters that are in there that they've talked about. But I mean, you've done a lot of this style of gaming, and given your past experiences of how they've got it set up with closed alliances, invite only, open alliances, default language, labels, like on the YouTube side, I'm showing the image itself. And one of the interesting ones that poked out to me was the minimum collection level. That one kind of surprised me, because the maximum, as weird as this sentence is, the maximum minimum is 10K. So you could have your entire club be at least 10,000 collection level, which is one hell of a whale club.
It's not as high as I thought it would be, though.
You thought it'd be higher? Really?
I thought you could get even bigger whales in there. But yeah, I think 10K is more than enough. And yeah, I think these parameters are pretty much fine. We knew that these were going to be, we had talked about this on a past episode. Like, we knew that you were going to be able to do these specific things, but you just didn't know what you can actually set it to as far as the collection level. But I mean, we knew that you could make like a tag or like a label on your alliance. We knew that you could make a minimum collection level and a minimum rank. It actually looks like it's minimum highest rank achieved, so ever, not just for the season. And then you can do invite only or open, whatever. Pretty standard stuff, and it costs 100 gold to make an alliance, which I actually think is cheaper than like other games.
I know.
This is like
No, I just want to butt in on that one, just because like I saw a lot of people like freaking out over that. I'm like, you do realize it costs 50 gold to change your name in the game, yet alone making an alliance, it's 100 gold. Like, it's really not a big, it's not like it costs 1,000 gold. If it did that, that'd be stupid, but it's 100 gold. It's an unnecessary expense, but at least it's a minimal unnecessary expense. You unlock it in the track. Like, not the end of the world. This is a very common thing for mobile games, is when you have like this clan kind of system, you do have to pay some kind of fee to actually make the clan. And that's just like I've seen some people say online, like that's just like, so you don't just like have like a million clans and then they're just like so abandoned and everything, and there's whatever. Like, I think it's just it's fine. Like, this is way more understandable, this 100 gold, than how much they're charging for these these new borders on cards. Like, this is like, I was expecting at least like 500 gold to make a clan, or even like 1,000. Like, honestly, like the rate that we've seen these other things go for. So I'm actually like pretty happy with how cheap it is to start a clan. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool, with the personalization, initial personalization options that you have on there with the emblems and the themes and stuff. Like, I'm curious how they expand on those, and if they end up finding a way to monetize those in the future, like having the clan leader be able to purchase or upload specific thing, which is actually not upload. That's a really scary idea.
Yeah, that's gonna be scary.
That's a really scary idea. Ignore that I even recommended that idea. But like, just different emblems and themes that they upload, or seasonal ones maybe they upload on in there for like 50 gold a piece, and you can put it as your theme and stuff. Like, I could definitely see them finding ways to capitalize on that. I assume the emblem is just, looking at it in the imagery here, it shows the mascot for Second Dinner, and it looks like it's the shape of an avatar, so it's probably any and all avatars that the club alliance leader has unlocked. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. I hope so, because that'd be very flexible, and that'd be kind of cool if you have all that flexibility in there too.
Yeah, I think that they should actually get like the logo of every content creator that's in the creator program and like
I'm down.
import it into the game. That'd be pretty cool, you know. I'm just saying.
Every single one.
If you guys are listening to the podcast, you know, I need that ItsGuestGaming logo on my clan for sure.
Please.
On my alliance.
Please.
Yeah, just exciting that we're progressing towards we're just getting new information about these features that we want to see in the game. Just new features. Because if something like Guest said last week, like if something is being data mined, that means that the data is like in the thing. I don't know how it works, but like the data is
The
like
background of the
moving
game.
forward.
Just call it
like
that.
it's in there somewhere, and they're like working on it. That's the gist. Like it's coming. So yeah, really exciting stuff. Not a new mode exciting, not a draft mode exciting, but yeah, no. We'll take what we can get at this point.
Speaking of which, in that same conversation, kind of rewinding to the whole patch notes conversation, they did tell us that there is another game mode currently, not leagues, a current game mode slated for the summer, potentially 2 of them. So that in game dev terms, we'll get 1 in the summer and 1 by Christmas. So that's exciting in and of itself. And that's not including leagues, and that's not including the release of alliances. So that was incredibly exciting to hear simultaneously too.
Okay. Let us know in the comments what you think it is. I don't know. I think
please draft mode.
One of them's got to be draft. One of them.
Please.
It's such a big money making opportunity. Like, just trust me. If you want money, second dinner, just make a draft mode. All right. Just focus a lot of energy on a draft mode. Just the people have to pay gold to enter, and you don't get gold back. So then you always make gold. You always get money. It's a win-win. We get what we want. We get some other rewards, whatever they are. I don't care. Just make them good. But yeah, draft mode. That's what we all want. That's the mode. I don't know what else they could possibly make that would be dancing around draft mode. Like just give us draft mode. We don't want another conquest mode.
If I had to make a guess without knowing anything, I'm going to go completely outside the box and say they're building some kind of tower mode. Something like you go up against certain decks that are pre-constructed, and you have to climb up the tower and all the different floors of the tower, because now you got to beat a Cerebro 2 deck, and then a Cerebro 3 deck, and then a, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It's just like a single player mode, like a
PvE mode. Single player mode, because I could see that having like week-long rewards. I could see that having levels that you achieve and unlock and statuses, and you're playing all solid AI basically, but I could definitely see Second Dinner doing something like that, because that style of game mode is very attractive to a very large core of mobile gamers, yet alone card gamers implementing it into a mobile, game style mode thing. So I already
play against so many bots on my climb to infinite already. I don't want more bots.
Well, then you just stick to Conquest and enjoy all your Loki opponents. How about that?
Okay.
Deal?
That sounds good. I love that.
Cool. Works for me.
All right. That's all we got for this episode of the Beyond Infinite podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys found the episode interesting. Let us know. We always love to hear from you. And we do stream this. We do usually stream it live on Twitch, on my Twitch channel at DMoney on Twitch. ItsGuestGaming on YouTube. He's going to be posting this as always. And whatever podcast platform that you want to listen to, we will most likely be on that as well. So just search up Beyond Infinite Podcast. You can find us there, but that's all I got. What else you got, guest? That's it?
It's guestgaming.shop. Go ahead and hop on down and get yourself a Marvel Snap coffee mug or tea mug, because they're so cute. They're really cute, actually. What he's holding on screen is not one of them. We'll see if we can get one to Japan. But that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you all so much for listening, watching, enjoying, liking, commenting, subscribing. and returning next week. See y'all then.
Peace.